welcome back to the Tin Barn. I'm Pragmatic Lee, and this week's project is going to be something that's been on my project list for probably a couple years. I'm sure about everyone probably has a project list either in their head or written down. I keep mine on my phone. Sometimes I'll wake up in the middle of the night, be thinking about something, set up and add it to my project list. But this is what we're going to work on today. Has been on that list for a long time, and for whatever reason I just put it off for higher glamour projects, if you will. But I've recently had the need for this item and had to makeshift something else. What we're going to do is make a couple of Vise mill jacks. This is one a friend of mine gave me a while back. He used to teach some at the local community college, and a lot of times he'd have students to make projects that didn't finish the course, and they'd leave their projects there, and he gave me a couple of these. I'm not sure if they were some he made or some one of his students made, but they're a bit big for my mill. These were, I'm sure, made for Bridgeport there at the community college. But as you can see, with a piece setting flat in the lathe mill chuck, they're too high to get under that. A piece setting on parallels, they will still work fine with, and I've used them over here. But I need something on a smaller scale than this. These use what's called a leveling pad that you'd use in them on your table leg, something like that. But they're nice in that they swivel in several axes here where you can adjust them up without actually turning the plate. And then the base has a little angle bored into it and one on the outside to dress it up with a knurl on there. But I'm going to go a little bit smaller scale. I made a prototype just out of aluminum, 1 3/4 inches long, or 1.5 inches long, I believe it is. Yeah, 1.5 inches long by 1.25 inches diameter. We're going to take this piece of steel, put it in the lathe, and start out boring, drilling, boring, and then turning some tapers on there. So all the day's project is going to be on the lathe, but I'll be making something for the mill. So let's look over on the lathe and get started. One other comment before we get to the lathe. As I said, these are 1/2-13 shafts or studs on there. I looked on Amazon for leveling pads and found these. These are use a 3/8 stud across the flat. Again, these are 1.25 inches. The same thing we're going to use that I used on the prototype. The difference in these and the ones that were in the jacks that I've got is that they don't have the stud on them, but it uses a 3/8 16 thread. I was kind of surprised when I looked on Amazon and found these, that I'm not sure how many items they do that for, but this particular item, they actually supplied 3D and 2D CAD drawings and PDF files for this. So when I ordered these, prior to receiving them, I was able to take this drawing and know what all the dimensions would be. So again, we'll go over to the lathe and get started on there. The 1.25 inch round stock is in the lathe now, and I've got a mark over there on the full length, 1.5 inches. But first we're gonna, it's already been faced. We'll run our center drill. And now this is the tap drill for the 3/8 16 that we're going to be using. But I'm going to go ahead and drill all the way through with that. This end back here is what will be tapped. This will have the internal taper on it. But I want to go ahead and drill one hole all the way through. Then we'll start doing our taper on this side. going to be making 2 of these, so I'm going to go ahead and drill a little longer. I think I'm for the full length of the first one now, but I'm just going to go ahead and drill in about another 1/4 of an inch. And that'll be our starter hole for the second one. Now on this side, to make a starter for our boring bar, I'm going to go ahead and drill out 1/2 inch and drill that about half the length, 3/4 of an inch deep, or just a little over 3/4. Slow down a little for. All right, I'll set the 0 on my DRO. All right, there's our 3/4. And go ahead and remove that drill from the tailstock. I don't want to strike my hand on it. Now the taper that I want on this is 1 1/4 inch, is going to be the large diameter. No, I'm sorry. It's 3/4 of an inch deep, so that's the length. The small diameter, which is going to be on the inside, I want 1/2 inch. And I want this to be about 1 inch of taken out here. So I went to the taper calculator and just put those in: 1 inch large diameter, 1/2 inch small diameter, 3/4 length. And that come out, I believe, like 18.4 degrees on the compound. So I've got it set up just a little over 18 degrees on the compound here. And I'm just going to take this out, continue this process of cutting that taper until it looks like I got about 1 inch taken out in the middle. That'll leave 1/8 inch on each side for a footprint. All right, I'm going to lock the compound down, cross slide down, and we'll work with the compound here. Get our RPMs back. All right, I'm going to see if I can move the camera so that you can get a little better idea of what's happening here. Okay, we're getting close there. Let's see about what I have. Got about 90 thousandths there, so we'll go a little more. All right, that was not quite to the bottom of our 1/2 inch hole, but I'm about on my distance out here because, like I say, I drilled that 1/2 inch hole a little bit deeper than required. So I'm just going to take a small pass here just to clean that up. All right, I'm happy with that. Give it a little polish on the inside. Oh, excuse me. That's right dead on 1 inch right there. All right. Next thing we want to do is knurl the outside. Of course, obviously, I don't think we can knurl the inside, but we want to go at least 3/4 of an inch. Gonna mark it a little beyond that get set up with the knurling tool. Make sure I'm on the top of the piece. I'm going to clamp down about as much as I can with my hand. Turn my RPMs way down. Need to tighten my tool post down a bit. And when you're knurling, you're in fact cutting, so you need plenty of cutting oil. All right, I'm plenty past halfway. So we're going to give it a tighten. Put our lathe in the opposite direction. All right, that's looking good, but I think I'm going to make another round trip on it. Give it a little tightening. Change directions on our lathe. All right, let me swing the camera around and I'll give you a look at what that knurl looks like. All right, got to clean out some of the little chips in there. Very pleased with that knurling. I'm going to carry this over to the bandsaw now and just saw off 1.5 inches worth, and then we'll come back to the lathe and start doing our outside taper. Okay, I've got the piece back in the lathe now. I've got my collet chuck, my backing chuck in there, or spider, to hold this piece out some. Got it clamped on there, got it clamped good, but not enough to squeeze the knurling. And I put a little mark on here at halfway. I face this off to 1.5 inches, and I mark that at 0.75. So I'm going to put the lathe in reverse. Then we're going to come around to the back side here, and I'm going to cut this taper until I get to that mark that I put at the halfway point. The lathe is in reverse now. All right, I'm gonna have to get a new insert. Okay, I've got a different tool now. We'll try this. All right, it's been taking about 40 thousandths at a time. Now I'm going to take 20 on this cut. I believe that's going to get us pretty close to the line. Let's do 20 again. Still didn't quite get it, so we'll try 10 this time. that looks good. I don't like that. The taper looks good. I don't like the finish where that insert was given. I'm going to try to file that down just a little bit just to clean it up. Alright, I'm just not satisfied with that finish there. I'm going to see if I can get this insert aimed a little straighter at the piece and see if I can clean that up a little bit. Alright, I went back to my original tool, put a new insert in there, or turn the tip around. Got a much better finish now. So what we're going to do is thread this in here for the 3/8 16. Put the lathe back and forward. Let's see, we'll turn our RPMs down. Make sure everything's clear. Alright, I believe that's all that's going to do manually or powerly. And just to be sure I'm not using a worn out tap, I'll check my threaded rod in there, and that works fine. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to make another one of these off camera. Then we're going to clean them up real good. I'll bring you back after I get the other one made. Then we're going to clean them up real good and we're going to blue them. Okay, I've got both pieces made now. And what I'm going to do is try to wash these off real good. Get any of the cutting oil off of them, get them cleaned up. Then we're going to put them in the kiln. I've got it preheating over there now to get it up about 500-600 degrees. Going to leave it maybe for an hour, hour and a half, just to blue these up some. I have no idea what this steel is, so I'm not going to try to harden them. But I just want to put that dark finish on them. These, according to according to Amazon, have a black oxide coating, and that in essence is what we're going to do on these when we clean them. But it'll probably be more blue than it will be the black. So I'm going to polish these up, or not polish them, I'm just going to wash them up real good in this simple green, rinse them off, and then we'll go over to the kiln. And while that's in there too, I'm going to clean up the studs. I've got them cut. Put a little Loctite on the end and Loctite them into place. I've got a couple of old 3/8 16 bolts rusted that I've used for such things before, just so I don't have to handle the pieces. Alright, we'll let the kiln get up to temperature, let these drip dry for a while, and I'll bring you back. Okay, the kiln's up to about right on 500 degrees now. And the pieces have had time to air dry. They're good and clean now. We'll set them down in. And again, probably going to leave this for at least an hour and a half, 2 hours. Give it plenty of time to heat up, to heat the pieces and blue them good. Alright, it's been about an hour and 15 minutes now, and I turned the heat on up to about 750 degrees. So let's see what we got now. Alright, that's a good blue. I like that color. So I'm going to turn the kiln off. I'm going to let these cool down. I let them cool on their own for just a little while. Then I'll go ahead and drench them, and we'll recap this video. Okay, the mill jack stands have had time to cool down now. I wiped them down good and give them a coat of oil. I think we'll call this project completed. I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you on the next video.